Hi, I am Pat.
And I'm Mimi, and together we're bound to be quilting.
That's right. We are pattern designers, I'm sorry, for a number of fabric companies. And today we are glad to be showing a video to you through trends in E.E. Shank and Maywood. So we are going to be talking about the slit and sew rulers that we have designed a quilt pattern for. Mimi, you want to tell them about the pattern?
Sure. This pattern that we've designed uses the wedding ring of the slit and sew rulers, and that's this block here. And then in addition, we've added an extra setting block that gives it a little more interest. And the additional setting block is this square here, and that's called the King's Crown block. And so we've called this pattern that we've designed King's Crown, just King's Wedding Ring, and it's available through Shank.
And the fabric also is Prose, okay, which I think is still available for them.
From Maywood.
From Maywood. Maywood was so kind to loan us the fabric to make the quilt. We think it came out pretty spectacular. So the slit and sew is designed, those templates are designed by Quilters Paradise. We do not work for Quilters Paradise. We are just promoting their pattern because I found after a long time of doing wedding rings and struggling with the curves, the slit and sew has been just ingenious about coming up with this template that has little slits on the edge that you're going to cut into the fabric. It eases your fabric automatically into the curve and lets you sew without a pin. Yes, all the wedding ring blocks in this quilt were made without using one pin. Now assembly, row to row or something like that, then it becomes a different story, and we've used some pins. But in the meantime, I'd like to show you some of the other patterns that I've done, or quilt tops that I've done that have slit and sew. This is the clamshell. I've been sewing for about 30 years, avoided doing this because I just didn't know about this curve. But look at how pretty these curves are. They're almost like perfect. And with slit and sew, again, slitting the fabric around the curves, sewing it together, put this table topper together without a pin. This is some Kimberbell fabric, layer cake, that I've chosen a number of them. You can make it wider, longer, do whatever you want with it, but this is where I stopped with this one. Then over here is helping me. Maybe that's a trademark, huh? Mimi?
Yeah, it might be.
I don't know that we should be using that, huh? This is Mimi, okay. The mailing block, I personally struggled with a little bit because, I wanted all these things to be perfect. When you get all these little corners going together, it gets a little bit harder. It has nothing to do with the slit and sew pattern. It has to do with my sewing. But this is a fun little table topper again. Okay, this one, I have a new grandbaby coming. It's going to be the new grandbaby quilt. I took my stash and just made this out of the 4-inch Drunker's Path. So easy, 3.5 hours on a Sunday afternoon, put this together. It did not use one pin in the entire piece, even using the borders. When you do these blocks and they come out perfectly 4 inches, everything lines up. You have little slits to match up your little sides even, and it works just like a dream. And tumbling block was done out of a charm pack. Easy, we all have those favorite little charm packs in our house, little background fabric. So easy again, slits on the sides here, cut them out, put the slits in, everything lines up nice and even all the way across. You don't have any going down or going up like we usually do when we don't have little matching slits. So this is another little baby quilt. So that was great. Mimi will be back in a little while, and she's going to talk to you about doing flying geese and 4 at a time, or the traditional long way. But in the meantime, I'm going to be talking to you about the actual slit and sew wedding ring quilt. It comes in a packet. It comes with some great little sandpaper. It is the best sandpaper grippers that you ever could have. You must use those. On the back, it holds your fabric right there. The other thing is store owners or whoever's watching, I believe you're going to have to do a demo of this in order to sell these in your store. But once you do the demo, these are going to be flying off the shelf. People are going to be finding how easy it is to use these templates to sew a wedding ring. Now, a lot of people like, oh, I want to do a wedding ring quilt for, you know, a relative, a daughter, or a son, whatever. But they shy away from it because they think the curves are really hard to do. So we're going to pause a minute, reset the camera so that I can show you how to cut the fabric, and then we're going to sew up some pieces for you, showing you how easy those slits make everything. Okay, we've reset our little camera here a little bit, and now we're going to show you how to cut. Normally I use 4 layers. Today I'm going to use 2. I use the Martelli rotating mat because it makes it easy to turn all the way around. If you have a long strip, you'll roll your long strip onto your whole entire mat here. And I'm using the small 28 millimeter cutter. You can use the 45. I would not use the larger one. That one just does not work as well. So open your rotary cutter. We're going to go ahead and cut around through here. And on the curve pieces, which I believe in the pattern is B, but I don't trust me on that right now. Okay, I have a very short memory. We're going to go all the way around, turning our mat as we go around. Mimi's going to verify that.
That is piece B.
It is. Good memory. You know, this this old stuff is, yeah, you lose it sometimes. Then we're going to get rid of that, those things, throw them on the ground, throw them wherever you want to throw them. Get rid of all the pieces. We have these little angles at the ends of this template that you should go ahead and cut off. Don't just go, you know, going fast at the end. Now, here's the most important part, I think, about cutting these slits that I have found out. I maybe struggled a little bit in the beginning, watched the videos, and then had to come up with a method that I felt was confident for myself. I like using this small rotary cutter. I started out at the like 11 o'clock position, and it's at an angle, and you push down and you push away. You can almost hear the blade cutting through the fabric or feel it when you're putting these in. So you're going to push down and roll away, push down and roll away. And you're going to continue to keep going all the way around.
And I see that's why you like the rotary mat,
Yes.
because you don't have to move your fabric at all. You don't have to contort your arm around
Correct.
to cut it. You just roll it
Roll
around.
and it works so good. Now, if you don't, now this is another product you can sell in your stores. You know, this is a perfect example of why you would want to do this. Now, you can also use a small mat, right? Use a small mat, put your fabric on top of it, and rotate your mat. But doesn't this work so much better? You know, it's just great. Now, we have our slits in our piece here, which is piece B, and we'll pick it up. And I do not know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but we have little slits. This is the hardest thing about, I think, showing this kind of a thing. Can you see those slits in here? We have them all the way along. Now, what happens? Oh my goodness, I forgot, you know, I missed one, or that one didn't cut very good. There's a number of ways that you could go back. Just go ahead, put the template back down, grab your rotary cutter, make sure you always close your blade, and just re-slit it, okay, in the place. Now, if that didn't work, take your little nippers and just nip in, but do not go past a 1/4 inch here, because otherwise you'll be into the piece and not into just the seam line. So we have a number of pieces that we have to cut. We have to cut the background, and it's cut the same way. We cut the end pieces, which are the very ends of the wedding ring, which I guess you can't see that because of my camera thing, but those are the very ends. And we cut the melons, okay, which is the middle piece. Once we cut all those pieces out, we're ready to sew. Now, when we designed this pattern for you, we designed the yardage also to go with the pattern. The template or the pattern that comes with the kit tells you the size of strips to cut. It tells you how to lay out the sewing directions. It has a chart in it. Oops, Vanna, I need the other page, please.
Right here.
Okay, I might get in trouble. Okay, so there's a chart here that tells you how many pieces you need for your design. But you still have to pick a design. You have to count the pieces you're going to need and then calculate your own yardage. In this pattern, we've done all that work for you. We've calculated out the yardage and how many strips you need to cut, of which template, and so it's easy to figure out and go buy your fabric. Okay, we are set up at the machine here, and I just put a piece of black fabric underneath here to show you that there are slits in the back side, and there will be slits also that we're going to match in the B section. So I'm going to move away the black. Oops, sorry, Mimi.
Right.
She's holding the camera here patiently for us. I'm glad she's got a steady hand. I think she had all of her coffee
You
this
say I have
morning.
a steady hand as I'm moving it around. I'll keep it steady now.
Okay. So, one other thing I wanted to show you real quick. When you start this, the object is to start it in the middle of this piece. Now, naturally, I'm writing black on here, but this is friction and it'll iron away, hopefully. This is about a ½ inch. You want to get your needle started at the 1/4 inch here. And so we're going to align the B piece with the background piece. I think she's more steady than I am this morning. She's probably had more coffee than I have had. And we're going to sew. Now we pick up the piece, we look for our slits. I don't see that one, but that's okay. We get the other one. We're going to catch this one right here. Can you see that possibly?
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
It's right here. They're both lined up. We stitch a couple of stitches. We get to the slit. Then we're going to go ahead, stop, align the fabric, align to the stitch, get all this in the right hand going here. We're getting to there's a slit right here in this dark fabric. I can see it. You probably can't. We're going to go all the way down. The other thing, ladies, I'm sitting off to the side so Mimi can see more closer, which makes it a little bit harder to sew straight, but we're going to make it work. Here's a slit right here. Here's a slit right there. We're going to line those up. You have to sometimes tug, and I use a stiletto in my hand to align those fabrics nice and even. When we get down to the end, we have a slit right here, which you can't see, and a slit right there. Sometimes we need to just gently ease it all in, align it nice and easy. And when we get to the end, I use my stiletto to hold the fabric here, line it up, hold it. It helps if you have nails to pull the fabric around a little bit and come off to the end. So we have our first piece done. We're going to sew the other side the same way. Oh, where are we? We're right here. See how nice and even this all is? The other point is, remember where my black line was? When you do this, you want to make sure that this folds right in half, nice and even here. Oh, dear Lord, thank you. You do it so good to me. Okay, this worked out perfect. And this one is perfect, okay? So that is exactly what you want to happen at the ends, because when you come back with the next piece, you're going to have to use that 1/4 inch that's left here to attach your next piece. So we're going to stop for a second here. Okay. So we have sewn pieces to expedite the video. I've done some prep work ahead of time, okay? I added the melon, which gets added the very same way. You add the other side to your background, and the only thing different about that side is you have to add your little corner pieces on. So one has been added. I'll pull the pin out of this one. If you add your 1/4 inch, you will add this one on, and then the two sections get sewn together, all matching slit to slit to slit. And even if you match the slit here at the end and your first slit here, I guarantee you this will actually come together beautifully. So all these steps are in the handout that you get with the slit and sew pattern. So each step, how you do it, what you need to watch for, the pressing, and it even has a suggestion and a template that comes along if you want to do them scrappy. I don't do scrappy, so I just didn't do that one, okay? It goes on to the next page and it tells you how to add the ends, and before long, you have all the blocks done for your quilt, your wedding ring quilt, and you can assemble them. One of the things you do want to watch when you're pressing is to make sure that you're keeping everything nice and aligned square, because remember, we've cut through some really different kinds of shapes here, and things can get skewed when you're pressing really hard. Also remembering to keep these edges aligned evenly. That also goes for your melon. It's half of what you did here is half of the melon on this side the same way. But it works very easily, and I hope you enjoy this. Mimi is going to take over next and show you a little bit about the flying geese, a number of different ways to do the flying geese. I hope you've enjoyed this part of the wedding ring. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Please feel free to call us or email us, and we can help you through this. Go.
Hi, Mimi here again, and I'm going to talk to you about flying geese. And there's several different ways to make flying geese, and in our pattern that we've written for the King's wedding ring, we've used the 4 at a time. Most of you are probably already familiar with the 4 at a time flying geese system, but I'm just going to go over it here for some of you who might not be, or maybe just a little refresher. This is the no waste 4 at a time flying geese, and so you start with one large square, and that's going to be the center of your geese at the end. And you have 4 smaller squares. I'm just showing you 2 now as an example. But you do draw a line, which is hard to see here, but you draw a line edge to edge on your 4 background squares. And then you place them on the corners, right sides together of your larger square, and then you sew a 1/4 inch down each side. So that line that you have in the center is going to be your cutting line at the end. So you sew a 1/4 inch from each side. So I have some that I've made earlier. And after you've sewn down a 1/4 inch from each side, you cut it down that center line that you've drawn. And then you open up your flying geese. And this side I'm showing it without opening. I'll finger press it here for you. And you've got 2 pieces. Then again, you take your 4th smaller square, and the size of these squares is dependent upon what size flying geese you're trying to work with. We're making 2.5 by 4.5. So this large square is 5 1/4, and these smaller ones are 2 7/8. That's all in our pattern. And you can find online different formulas for doing this. And so once you've got these 2 pieces, and then you just repeat the process in the corner, again, of both pieces. You have a 2 7/8 inch square, and you, whoops, I think that one's 2.5. Sorry, I have another project I'm showing you. So I guess only, oh, there it is. There's my other cut one. You have a 2 7/8 inch square. You put it down here, pin it down if you don't feel comfortable with it staying. And again, sew a 1/4 inch on each side of that center line. Sorry, you can't see those center lines very well.
You can see.
And so when you're done and you open that up, you can see and cut it. You can see that you've got, you know, that flying geese there. I've not cut one up for you from here, but you'll end up with 4 of these flying geese. Now the other process for making flying geese takes the finished size rectangle, in this case 4.5 by 2.5, and 2.5 inch squares that you draw a line down. In this case, you sew directly on that line, trim off the edge, and open it up, just like this. And then take another square on the other corner, sew down that center line, trim off the edge, and open it up to reveal a flying geese again. This is the sew, trim, and flip method, or at least that's kind of what we call it, of making flying geese, but there is a little bit of waste in this as you're trimming off those corners and throwing those away. And then again, there is the original method where you're sewing biased edges. So you start with the same size original square, and I'm going to show you a different rotating mat as well. This is the one Pat uses, the Martelli, and then there's also a Fisker's mat that I have that I like. And again, you would start with the same size large square, the 5 1/4, and you would just cut it edge to edge twice. And again, the rotating mat is good for making 2 diagonal cuts because you don't have to move your fabric. And then you would take your 2 7/8" square and sew and cut it edge to edge just once. And you would have 8 of these. And then you'd sew these and make your flying geese. But the downside of making flying geese this way is you've got all these biased edges. So all of these edges are biased, and there's a really good chance that you could stretch those when you're sewing them. So if you have a pattern that's got a lot of flying geese in it, this is a good way to do a class. You can show the different types of flying geese. We've made a little handout for you. It's called Making Flying Geese, 3 Different Methods. And this is going to be on our websites. This is free. And we speak in this little handout about 4 at a time, no waste methods, the sew, trim, and flip methods. And then on the 3rd page, the original method that we're all familiar with before everyone came up with all those wonderful shortcuts in quilting. I tell you, quilting has come up with so many shortcuts since I first started that it's amazing.
And what website is that on?
Oh, Bound to Be Quilting. So our Bound to Be Quilting website, we will have this, look on the top menu bar, and it will have free Flying Geese handout. I think is what it's going to be called, free Flying Geese handout. If you have any problems, again, as Pat said when she was sewing, be sure to call us, and our phone number is on our website. Again, boundtobequilting.com, and we're happy to take phone calls or answer emails, anything that you need.
Okay, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our little demonstration. We'd like you to go over again that we've used a Fisker rotating mat. We've used the Martelli rotating mat. We've used OmniGrid, Fisker, Olfa, all in our products. Those are products that we use, that we're comfortable using. We'd like you to go ahead and support those companies and buy your products from E.E. Schenck. Mimi is going to share with you some of our newest and latest.
Yeah, we're really excited about Maywood's new fabric groupings. There's a Silver Jubilee, which is an
anniversary.
A celebration, right, of their anniversary. Mm-hmm. So we've got a design coming out with Silver Jubilee. There's another floral group called Belle Epoque, and we've got a couple designs plus a block of the month. So be sure to look for our block of the month that uses Belle Epoque. Another group from Chris Lammers called Measure Twice.
Fun sewing.
Fun sewing items. We've got a design with that one. And the last grouping, oh my goodness.
Vines.
Flower and Vine.
Vines,
Very
yes.
good. Flower and Vine. And
I can't believe I came up with that. She's the one with the brain.
Yeah, sometimes. We trade off. I think there's one brain to share it. So yeah, a flower and vine grouping as well.
And we have a number with that one too.
Yeah, we have a couple with that grouping as well.
So there's like, 7 or 9 new ones? Something like that.
There's a lot of new designs for use with the beautiful Maywood fabrics.
Right. So we want to thank E.E. Schenck and Trends and all the wonderful people that we work with at Maywood and E.E. Schenck for allowing Bound to Be Quilting to be part of the Trend Show. We miss seeing you in person. We hope you're all well, that you're staying well, and maybe next year we'll all get to see each other again.
That would be great.
Our smiling faces together again.
That would be great.
So, thank you, and have a blessed and great day.